Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast, the Drafted Up Podcast. That's Nick. I'm Theo. You know where to find the show. At YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, search Drafted Up Podcast. We'll be there. Like, rate, subscribe, review, share, tell a friend. We're also over on social media, over on Twitter at DraftedUp_pod. Not overly active there, so more important if you want to support the show, check out where you can listen or watch. That's where we're a little more active. Today, we're going to dive into the 4 divisional rounds, and then we're going to predict and preview the NFC and AFC championship game as long. And then 4 prospects for you. We're each going to give you 2. How you doing, Nick?
Doing good, dude. Fucking division week was crazy, dude. Conference games are going to be wild, dude. I'm so excited. We'll get there, but what a wild week it was last week.
Yeah.
Wild week.
Yeah, let's dive right in. First game
Let's get
on
it.
the dock. The Kansas City Chiefs. They beat Houston, the Texans, 23-14. Chiefs now moving on to a 7th straight, I believe, AFC championship game. Pat Mahomes
Something
has made
crazy
one
like that, dude.
every year as a starter.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes has been in the championship game for the AFC. This game, way closer than the score indicated.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
CJ Stroud.
Fine.
Yeah, but CJ Stroud was sacked 9 times.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
He
were obliterating him, and Houston needs to shore up their offensive line in the offseason.
They have a lot to do this offseason. But hey, they played way better than I thought they would. But obviously the Chiefs 9-point favorite or 9-point spread here, so it is what it is. It was a boring game, to be honest. It's a Chiefs game. I have nothing against the Chiefs. I get everyone hates them, but this was a very Chiefs game. They just let Houston hang in there close enough and then just kind of pulled away at the end.
Yeah, the Texans, it was a tough go for them. They really couldn't get anything going consistently with the pressure at the end of the game.
Kansas City's defense is just, it's killer, dude.
George Karlaftis had 3 sacks. That dude's just an
turned
absolute machine for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I wasn't too high on him coming out, but he's definitely proven me wrong. He's turned out to be a pretty solid pick there for the Chiefs.
Yeah, he's been really good. And Travis Kelce also, superstar game for him. 7 for 117 and a touchdown. Like, he had 117 receiving yards. Patrick Mahomes had only 177 passing yards. So, do the math. It was 80% Travis Kelce here for the Kansas City offense.
This was the games where Mahomes had that crazy touchdown to Kelce, right? Where he was like Superman posed in the air and then got the ball off on a quick release. Yep. Mahomes is just special, dude. It doesn't matter how you break down the film or what you got to say. Is at the end of the day, he plays the game. He plays the game the way he plays the game, and he's amazing. I got nothing bad to say about Mahomes.
Yeah, if they make the Super Bowl, it'll be Patrick Mahomes' 5th Super Bowl appearance, and he's what, 29, 30?
29.
Yeah.
He's a year older than Lamar.
Tom Brady didn't like win his 5th Super Bowl till he was 37. So this dude is he's on the cusp of being the greatest of all time. Love him or hate him. There. He's an incredible football player. And Houston, the heck of a run. Like, coming into the playoffs, I was out 100%. Nothing to do with Houston. They weren't playing good football, and they beat the Chargers, and then came out here and they hung around the best they could with Kansas City. Will Anderson's a superstar on that defense.
Oh yeah, for sure, dude.
That dude has future defensive player of the year written all over him. In fact, I might even put a bet on him in the offseason. Throw a couple bucks on him, depending on his odds. But hey, D'Amico Ryans has that dude. He's building the defense around him and Derek Stingley. Defense isn't the problem here in Houston. It's figuring out the offense. Bobby Slowick, CJ Stroud and crew took a step back. Joe Mixon was great this year for them. Nico Collins was great. But they got to figure out the line and get other pieces around them so they're not so reliable on those 2 dudes.
They brought Diggs in on a 1-year deal, right?
Yeah, Diggs was on a 1 year and he tore his ACL.
Yeah.
I don't see him coming back.
No, neither do I. And they've already come out in reports saying that Tank Dell might not even be ready at all for next year. So they're going to have to address the receiver room at some point over the offseason because you can't just roll with Nico. It just can't be Nico. It's not going to – you can double cover Nico, triple it. You need to get another option for CJ. And obviously Joe Mixon's great, amazing.
Dalton Schultz?
Oh, stop it. Get another tight end option in there for all I care. Like, Dalton Schultz ain't the option. None of the other receivers are the option besides Nico. And with Tank Dell injury, Diggs on his way out, most likely he's going to get a contract somewhere. Probably Dallas. We've talked about Dallas a lot with Diggs.
If he doesn't go to Dallas, I do expect Diggs to be back in Houston. I just think it's almost a foregone conclusion he ends up with the Cowboys.
I agree. I think there is a chance he returns to Houston just based off of how this season ended. He doesn't want this to be his one and only year in Houston as a letdown, torn ACL. And honestly, him coming back to Houston, I think is a way better gig than Dallas. I agree. Him in Houston with Nico, with Stroud, Mixon, I think that's a way better fit for him in this recovery season. So don't change it up. Stick with what you know. Roll with Houston. That's what I would do if I was Diggs. But you gotta shore up that offensive line for CJ here.
Yeah, he does not handle interior pressure well at all, and the Chiefs are just bringing it all through the interior there. Yeah, they got to get some guard center help figured out there because, Laramie Tenzel, one of the best tackles in football.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's not even a problem. They had to actually move their right tackle into guard to kind of help things out in Tyus Howard, and then Blake Fisher was playing rookie from Notre Dame. So, yeah, they got some work to do in the offseason, but hey, the Texans played better in the playoffs than I thought they were going to, so maybe the arrow is trending up again in Houston.
They played so much better than I imagined in the playoffs. I wrote them off in the San Diego game. I thought it would be close. I didn't think they could win. I didn't think they could win this game, but they played way better than I thought they would. They looked okay at moments, so...
Yeah, they missed two field goals. You hit them, you're looking at a 20-23 game.
Yeah, it's also the team was riddled with injuries throughout the season as well. So it is what it is for Houston. It's not obviously a throwaway year. You got a playoff win in what I looked at as a step back year. So that is, in my eyes, it's a step back year, but they went out there and got a playoff win with a second-year quarterback again. So, hey, man, it's still obviously the trend is upwards in Houston.
Yeah,
I'd kill to be in that position.
Do we want to do the other Saturday game, or do we want to do both AFC games first and then do both NFC games?
Let's do both AFC games.
All right, so Sunday, the Bills and Ravens did not disappoint. We expected a great game, and it was just that. Buffalo beats Baltimore 27-25. Tough
Crazy.
break. I think no matter, I would have been gutted for whoever lost this game. I'm gutted for Lamar Jackson, super happy for Josh Allen. Had it been reversed, I would have been devastated for Josh, happy for Lamar. It just so happens these two superstars are stuck with Patrick Mahomes, so it makes their road to the Super Bowl even harder, which is already something that's incredibly difficult to do. And now you're blocked by the greatest quarterback of this generation. So, tough sledding. Like, I think Baltimore outplayed Buffalo the whole game. It's just
100%.
The turnovers, and Buffalo is on this historic streak. They are just not turning the ball over. Like they only have like 8 turnovers all year, and I think the last time they turned the ball over was like week 8.
They're playing super clean football, but it wasn't just this game. I'm pretty sure all 4 games the losing team outperformed the winning team on offense, which is an unbelievable stat. Like, all of the losing teams went out there and had way better offensive performances. They just couldn't get the job done and close out the game. And like you said, Buffalo is just playing super clean football. And Baltimore, obviously, they slipped up here. They played sloppy at a lot of this game. And I'm not going to put it on Lamar or Mark Andrews, yada, yada, yada. It's a team effort at the end of the day. Lamar still looked really good in this game. I don't care what people are saying. Lamar looked great at the end of this game. He's still an amazing quarterback. He'll get his at some point, dude.
Yeah,
he's 28.
He led that 2-minute drive like effortlessly, like
flawlessly, dude.
Nothing rattles this dude. Like he had the weird fumble at the beginning of the game where the ball just kind of fell out of his hands. He threw a really bad interception as well. And then Mark Andrews, he fumbled, and then he dropped the 2-point conversion at the end of the game that essentially cost the game for Baltimore, because had he caught that, we're tied up. And I mean, there's still time for Buffalo. There was still like 1:30 on the clock. So
I would have loved to see that drive, though, dude. He took I'm not blaming Mark Andrews, but that drive that Buffalo could have put together could have been one of the all-time great drives, and we just didn't need to see it, which I'm cool with that. Yeah, Buffalo got the dub. Both teams played great. Which
is kind of ironic, because every playoff game that the Bills have lost, it's always been like the ball never got to be in Josh Allen's hands to end the game. Like,
at the end.
Missed out on the drive. And that's why I think Buffalo kicked the field goal there at the end, so it would guarantee them time to have Allen perform a game-winning drive. Like, I get it. They could have sealed the deal, went for it on 4th down, got Josh Allen on a little tush-push thing, and ended the game there. But this opened up that the ball was coming back to Buffalo, essentially. I'm fine with it.
I liked the choice.
Yeah, and the Bills, like, stat line, like, Josh Allen only had 127 passing yards. Like, James Cook had 67 rushing yards. Yeah. Josh Allen did have 2 rushing touchdowns. Like, it was just a good defensive game for the Bills, and just like their offense right now is playing playoff football. They're controlling time of possession. They are just trying to wear you down, and they're doing it spectacularly.
Yeah, Baltimore made a few mistakes. Buffalo made none, and the mistakes that Baltimore made, Buffalo counted on, and they took full advantage of the mistakes, and that's why they won by 2 points. They just played a little bit cleaner football. And sometimes that's all it takes in football. Like, it comes down to literally the last play of the game. It's a crazy, crazy world. And that 2-minute drive Lamar had at the end of the game, he did it without Flowers and Bateman. Bateman got hurt in this game, so he did it without his 2 wide receivers. He did it with just Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely. He missed Henry on a pass earlier in the game that could have been a touchdown, but
how did Henry drop that ball? That ball was in Henry's hands. It was low.
Was super undershort. It was way short. He could have hit him in stride. He didn't have to turn.
And it still hit Henry's hands. He still should have brought it in.
It was a shoelace catch. Sure. I'm still putting that one on Lamar. It could have hit Henry in the chest. Should have been a touchdown, though.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we get the 9th matchup coming up here between Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. So that's going to be...
I think he's 0-3 in the playoffs.
And they've won the last 4 regular season games, has Buffalo against the Chiefs. So we'll see. We'll get to that one. Let's talk NFC. Saturday, the big one. The Washington Commanders beat the Detroit Lions 45-31.
I'm gonna pause you right there. When you said the big one, you sounded like Sid from Toy Story when that huge firework arrives. And then the Buzz is sitting on the table, and fucking Sid's is like, the big one. Oh, man, what a great movie. What a great movie. Man. Oh, but this game, unbelievable.
The Washington Commanders just...
keep doing.
Out-Detroited Detroit. They bullied the Lions on Saturday.
I'm bummed that I hopped off the bandwagon, dude. Like, I was dumb. Like, I was literally... the captain of the bandwagon, and the captain should go down with the ship, and I just straight up abandoned ship. I'm a bad captain. I'm so happy the Commanders won, though, dude. I am so happy. It's nothing against Detroit. It's a cool story and all, but I think Washington's a way better story than Detroit, dude. They got rookie quarterback. They got Terry McLaurin, who's just an absolute dog, and he's finally getting what he deserves, dude. The coaching staff is all great in Washington, as Detroit is as well, but Washington's the perfect story, dude. I absolutely love it.
Yeah. Jaden Daniels, almost 300 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Yeah, another 50 on the ground. He's the run game. Brian Robinson was okay on Saturday. Better than he's been. 15 for 77, 2 touchdowns for him. So,
and that's on Detroit, dude. It's hard to run on Detroit. And Brian Robinson has 77 yards and 2 tutties. So that's a good game for Detroit.
A bounce back game for him. He's been kind of sluggish here. You said Terry McLaurin, 4 for 87 and a touchdown, an absolute machine there. The Washington's running all cylinders.
I sent you the Terry McLaurin pregame speech.
Yeah.
Dude, I was literally on lunch break, and he had me ready to run through walls, dude. Like, Terry McLaurin is an absolute menace on the field, and he's the true locker room guy on, like, the outside of it all. He holds this team together, him and Daniels, the offense. I am so excited for both these guys next season.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels has just been an absolute superstar. Easily the best pick from last year's rookie class.
I messaged our group chat with you, Merck, and I asked you guys, I'm like, is Jaden Daniels the best quarterback in the NFC? Just as like a question that I was thinking about, and at the end of the day, Jaden Daniels he's the best quarterback in the NFC.
Yeah,
his rookie season, he is the top dog in the NFC right now. There's not a quarterback I would take over him. Yeah,
none of the quarterbacks in the NFC strike that fear in your eyes like a Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen would, but Jaden Daniels is the only one.
I agree. Now, I do think the AFC has the top 4 quarterbacks in football, being Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, and Burrow. But then I think after that, I honestly, God, think it's Jaden Daniels, dude. Like, he is a top 5 quarterback in his rookie season. We'll see how he does his second year. Stroud obviously took the step back, but I think Daniels is a different breed, dude. He plays the ball differently. He's smarter IQ, smarter football IQ. There's no flaws in Jaden Daniels' games. He's too clean.
Yeah, he is incredible, and he's gonna see the tick up fantasy wise. Like if we throw this to fantasy, he's gonna be the fantasy darling next year. I imagine he's going to be ranked like QB 3. I would have said 3 behind Allen and Lamar, but you can make the case for him over Josh Allen, considering Josh Allen has no weapons. But to me, it's going to be those 3 ranked at the top going into next season.
I agree. I think Hurts will be 5-ish. I think Hurts will be right after those guys.
I would put Burrow at 4.
I'm more of a Hurts guy fantasy wise.
Hurts would be 5 for me.
Yeah, I get that. But yeah, I would. Jaden Daniels is right there, though. I'd put him over Burrow and Hurts, though, for sure. Fantasy wise, not real life. Real life over Hurts, though, for sure.
Yeah, is better passer, and
he's a way better
pure
passer, dude. And you see that LSU too. Like, he doesn't make mistakes with the ball, and now he's doing it in the conference championship, the division championship. Like, when's it gonna stop? The ceiling is endless at this point for Jaden Daniels.
Yeah. And that leaves Philadelphia. The Eagles, they beat the Rams.
I'm not even going to talk about Detroit. Just
I mean, you want to talk about Detroit?
I mean, we don't have to, but Gibbs looked amazing, dude.
I figured we were going to touch base more on Detroit when we talk about the fact that all their coaches are leaving.
Yeah, I guess we can. That's fine.
Detroit's offense, like Jared Goff, rough game, 3 interceptions. Washington really got to him.
The pass game was rough, yeah.
Jahmyr Gibbs is a superstar. He is. You could tell me going into next fantasy season that he's your RB1 overall. Mm-hmm. I'm fine with that, honestly. Like,
you worried about Montgomery coming back?
No.
Like, I know he was back. But Gibbs wasn't putting up these Mondo weeks every week when Montgomery was there. It was spaced out a little bit, but when Montgomery's not there, Gibbs is RB1 in fantasy football.
But I think we're going to see a shift in dynamic to where Gibbs is the starting running back of this team, and then Montgomery is the RB running back B, essentially, because he's not the backup, because Detroit utilizes both their backs really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think Montgomery's just not fully healthy. I think that's why we're not really seeing him being involved a bunch. He literally had fucking seven carries. 7 carries, yeah. That's just not healthy. He's there, obviously, because it's the playoffs, and he wants to be out there. I get why he wants to be out there, and if he's cleared, he's good to go, but he's not 100%. Goff did get banged up in this game, too. He was out for a drive or two. It's cool to see Bridgewater.
He entered concussion protocol, and Teddy Bridgewater did come in. Detroit had 4 dudes throw a pass in this game. Like, Ben Johnson was just emptying the playbook. Jared Goff threw 40. David Montgomery threw a pass. He completed his for 20 yards. Teddy Bridgewater had a 3-yard pass, and then Jameson Williams had 1 pass, and he threw an interception. So,
dude, he has the quarterback vision of Anthony Richardson out there. That guy should never throw a football again. That pass was literally right to a Washington defender. What was he looking at?
Like, Jameson Williams essentially had 3 touches this whole game. He had 1 pass, which he turned it over. He had a rushing touchdown for 60 yards. And then he had 1 catch for 19.
Yeah. That's the kind of games you're going to get, though, with Williams. He's so dynamic, and you can get him in the rushing game. Obviously, he had a 60-yard rush. But the pass game, he can obviously go 0 for 5 on games because he's such a deep threat. And he's not going to be high-volume targeted at all. So
but
that's what you get for Williams.
Biggest game of the year. It's not something you want to see. But Amon-Ra stepped up, 137 yards for him. Jahmyr Gibbs had another 70 through the air. And Sam Laporta finished on a nice tear. 6 for 51 and a touchdown.
Phenomenal.
He's going to be a top 5 drafted tight end next year, in my eyes. I'm not going to let the slow start and pretty much all season, sans like a couple games, but his back end, I think, is more the player he is than what he showed this year.
I 100% agree. Week 13 through 18, he was over double digits in full point PPR every single week. I think that's more of the Sam Laporta we'll get next year. But I think him, Williams, and Amon-Ra are all really good fantasy options next year. I think Detroit's pretty much the same as they were going forward.
All right. Now are you ready to talk about the Eagles and the Rams?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay. Philadelphia beat the Rams 28-22. Snow game. That was fun.
It was. Always is.
This game felt like Philly was just blowing them out at times, and then the Rams just kept creeping back into it, and they had the ball in Matt Stafford's hand on the final drive. They couldn't get it done, but Stafford looked great. The Rams offense in general, Cooper Kupp showed up, which was great to see. He was 5 for 61. He had a beautiful catch at the end of on that last drive.
Did you see
out of bounds.
His interview about playing next year?
I did not.
It was, he's confident he's playing football next year, but I'm not confident is with the Rams, is what his exact statement was. So they would save money if they do cut him, but I think he'd be willing to take a pay cut. I think he's going to be with the Rams next year.
Or even cut him and then bring him back.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Cut him and then rework his deal to get him back just into the house. I don't think he goes anywhere.
And then Matt Stafford is probably going to be back next year, but he's mulling that over as well. But
I think next year it's probably going to be his last.
Yeah, I don't think Stafford would just shoehorn them like that. Be like, I'm calling it. But it might be their best favorite because I know McVay really wants Sam Darnold. That's always been the rumor around this year that there was talks that they were going to swap Stafford and Darnold. So if there was a time for Matt Stafford to shoehorn him like that, Sam Darnold is a pending free agent, but Minnesota could franchise him, trade him to LA. So it might work for them that way. But I expect Matt Stafford back one more year here in Los Angeles.
Yep, I agree. If he would end up retiring, I would honestly be pretty heartbroken that I didn't prepare for this to be Matt Stafford's last season. He's just always been one of my guys, dude. I love Stafford.
He's old and crippled at this point,
but he's just so good, dude. He was one of the first guys I loved coming out of college, and I just really linked to and watched him play in college at Georgia. I'm like, this kid's got it. And him in Detroit, I was super high on every year, and it's just been cool to see him play throughout his career. Obviously, getting the Super Bowl was huge. Stafford's one of my favorite quarterbacks all time.
Yeah,
I've always been way higher on Stafford than you have.
he's a better version of Kirk Cousins.
He's an elite version of Kirk Cousins, my guy.
Hey man, their numbers are similar, but I'm not going to go to bat.
They
for
are,
Kirk
but Stafford
after what he did this year.
Stafford has that clutch gene, dude.
He does have that. Yes,
there are not many more guys that I would choose over Stafford.
Quarterback on a final drive.
No, and that's the thing. If I had a 2-minute drive, Stafford is in my top 5 of guys I would want leading my team down the field.
Yeah. Shoot, he might be the second best quarterback in the NFC behind Jaden Daniels. And he's 36. And he's 36.
That ain't a far-fetched statement, to be honest, when we were going through quarterbacks.
How you feel about Puka Nacua going into next season for fantasy?
Superstar. He's a superstar, dude.
First round pick?
A back end, yeah, probably.
Yeah. He's to be a top 5 receiver going into next year.
I'd prefer him on the swing, though, to be honest. I wouldn't... He's a back end first guy. No, I'm cool with that.
Yeah. Eagles, they did win this game. You might not think of it because we were talking about the Rams.
Probably won this game.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts is just. He's never broke 200 yards when the Eagles won a playoff game that he's been quarterbacking. So he's going through something. His passing game has been
He's not healthy.
real bad here the last couple weeks, even into like the regular season. It was a tough go, and now he's got the knee injury going on. So going into the biggest game of the year for them right now, and their superstar quarterback is banged up. But Saquon Barkley, 205, 2 touchdowns. He is the offense. Like, the offense is not moving through Jalen Hurts. Like Hurts isn't the deep stuff's not hitting, and he doesn't hit the middle of the field well to begin with, so they're not running stuff there. So this is the Saquon Barkley show.
It's almost like he's the most valuable player on the team, maybe in the league. One would say an MVP. That's crazy. That's crazy to think. Wow.
If you want to use that logic, Buffalo would be the worst team in football without Josh Allen.
Oh, 100%. Hey, I agree. But I'm telling you right now,
nobody
if Barkley
on that
wasn't
team.
on Philly. I'm telling you right now, if Barkley wasn't on Philly, they wouldn't be in the playoffs right now. But the same for Allen and Lamar. I'll give you both of those guys.
Oh, I think Baltimore would have the best shot of being in there. They got superstars. Yeah, they got Roquan Smith
talent
on defense. Derrick Henry on offense. Yeah.
I mean,
who's the second best player on the Bills? Deion Dawkins? No disrespect to him. He's a great offensive tackle, but James Cook?
Yeah, James Cook's been really good this season, dude.
James Cook might be the second or third best player on that team. He's like the 15th best running back in football.
Nah, he's better than 15. That's crazy. But Barkley, though, dude, like for Philly, he's my RB1 next season. Early prediction right now. He's by far the best player on Philly. Maybe left in the playoffs. It's not Patrick Mahomes. He's just on another level right now. This is unbelievable to watch what he's doing behind Philly's line. It's honest to God, like this is his first season in the NFL. He's a completely different player. Like this is Barkley's rookie year. As much as it hurts me to say this, he's never going to be remembered as a Giant. It's just not going to happen. He's going to be remembered as an Eagle.
He will be remembered as a Giant thanks to that Hard Knocks, and it'll just be in negative light.
Well, exactly, and that's what it's going to be. It's going to be, look at the Giants held back Saquon Barkley for 6 seasons, and then he got to Philadelphia and became the best running back football, and it's not even close.
But before you drop that narrative and everyone's just like, well, the Giants should have just re-signed him. They'd be so much better without him. They wouldn't. They probably aren't a playoff team. Like, sure, they'd won what? How many games you guys win? 3 games this year?
We wouldn't be picking 3. We'd be picking 10.
You probably win 6 games. Yeah.
Yeah, we'd be picking 10. We'd be picking a 7-spot difference. If we would have kept Barkley, it wouldn't have changed anything. An elite running back on a terrible team is not going to make that terrible team better. An elite running back on an elite team is the perfect combination.
It pushes you out of the range to get a quarterback.
Exactly. It would only hurt us if Barkley was there.
Like, in theory, yes, an offense with Saquon Barkley and Malik Neighbors looks great, but there's no quarterback there. But hey, Daniel Jones was at the game. Danny Dimes?
Yeah,
maybe he'll be backing up Jalen Hurts next year.
I think he's going to be backing up Minnesota next year. I think he's your guy's quarterback.
I think he'll
not starter. Not starter. I don't think he's going to start, but I think he's going to be your backup.
Yeah. All right. Before we dive in, anything else?
This is coming from me, but I'm a little concerned now with Philly's passing game. I haven't been concerned for pretty much all season. I really wasn't even concerned with the 90 minutes that in between completions for Jalen Hurts a week ago. That I wasn't even concerned about that. But now I'm a little concerned when your receivers are 4 catches for 21 yards and 2 catches for 14 yards.
When Dallas Goedert's your leading receiver.
And then no other receiver has a catch. You had 6 catches between receivers. And then you had Dallas Goedert, who was 4 for 50. The realm of Jalen Hurts having under 100 passing yards, that's a legitimate possibility. And that's scary, dude. Yeah, that's a team that really needs to fix something. And Kellen Moore needs to be back in Philadelphia next year. Him leaving, Jalen Hurts cannot keep going through different offensive coordinators every single year, dude. That is so hard for a quarterback. It's so mentally hard.
Drake May's on like his 6th year in a row with a different coordinator.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Like, these kids are so talented, and these coaches make such a huge impact on their career. Just please, for the love of God, keep Kellen Moore in-house for a couple years. Same with Cliff Kingsbury in Washington. Like, keep him there, please, for the love of God.
Yeah. Yeah, but hey, I mean, you could say the same thing on the Buffalo side. Josh Allen isn't bringing 150 passing yards right now, but the Bills' offense doesn't need him to. They're just so efficient otherwise. Like, Josh Allen's putting in the work in the run game, so is James Cook. Whereas, like, it's just Saquon Barkley, really, for Philadelphia.
Oh, hey, man, Hurts had that really nice 50-yard run or something like that.
But now his knee's fucked up, so I'm not expecting a 40-yard run from Jalen Hurts. Did you see his presser after the game? That dude was hopped up on painkillers.
Dude, every interview that guy has after a game, he is higher than I am, and it is a true delight to watch.
But usually for him, he's like so serious and just gets offended by questions at time. But this time he's like, I love snow. Video games are cool, dude. Like, he was vibing. He wasn't on planet Earth, brother.
There was that one game, it was the middle of the season, he left with a knee injury, he came back high as a motherfucker, dude, that game. And his interview at the end of the game, he was on cloud 9. Hurts has great high interviews, dude. They load that dude on painkillers, and he goes out there and balls out, dude. I love it.
Yeah. All right. Before we jump into our championship round previews, support our friends over at Cafe Colazzo. They got some good coffee. If you're a coffee drinker, I start my morning every day. I'm up at 5 a.m., 5:30, getting ready for work, and I enjoy a nice hot cup of coffee. Cafe Colazzo, they got some good roasts. They got light roast, dark, medium, your typical ones. But they got beans. You got to ground them up yourself, and that's some satisfying factor that, you pretty much made that cup of coffee. And it's good, it's fresh, it's vibrant. It's got some good notes. The light roast has some nice, like, chocolatey tones to it. It's good stuff. Check them out. Cafe Colazzo, Collazo. And of course, use the code DRAFTEDUP at checkout for a nice 10% discount. Cafe Colazzo, they're a little local, Philadelphia. So support them and then support the podcast. Code DRAFTEDUP, 10% discount. Cafe Colazzo, Collazo, for some nice, fresh coffee.
Yeah, go order that, John. That Delco accent. Hoagie. Water.
All right.
Let's get into that conference games, baby.
Let's get into the championship rounds, our final 4. Who would have seen these 4 teams as the finals? I mean, shoot.
The AFC makes sense.
3 of them are pretty fine. It's the one here. And we'll start with them. 3 o'clock on Sunday. The Washington Commanders, the Big Howdies, travel to Philadelphia to take on division rival and NFC East champion Philadelphia Eagles. An over-under of 47.5. The Eagles are favored by 6. I said before we started recording, when I was talking to you, that is a disrespectful line. I would have personally set the line as a 3.5-point favorite for Philadelphia.
I'm not going 6. I'd go 4.5, but it's in between. Okay. 6 is too high. I'll give you that.
Yeah. So it feels like, on paper, Philadelphia is better than Washington at every single position on the field. They got better receivers. They got a better offensive line, better defense, better running back. But Jaden Daniels,
yeah, I was gonna say,
might be the best player in this game.
Barkley's in this game. But man, Jaden Daniels is just different, dude. Like, he is legitimately him. He's that guy, and he's on that run. He's so good. Like, you should be thinking, just based off like talent, paper. Like, the Eagles have maybe the deepest roster in the NFL. They do.
How's Washington gonna beat them? My thought is, how's Philadelphia gonna stop Jaden Daniels? Like, he's that good right now.
I mean, the last time they played, he finished as QB1 in fantasy with nearly 50 points. He had 81 yards on the ground. He was 24 for 39, 250, and 5 touchdowns, dude. Jaden Daniels is a dog. Terry McLaurin ripped him up that game on a huge play, got past Quinyon Mitchell, who's hurt now. Quinyon Mitchell's hurt. He's probably going to end up playing, but he's not playing at 100%. So that's scary, dude. And when you have an advantage that can be taken advantage of, and it's Terry McLaurin to Jaden Daniels, well, Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin doing it, we could see some huge plays here for all of Washington's receivers, to be honest. That's how they won versus Philly last time. They just picked apart that defense smoothly. So
Quinyon did log a full practice today.
He's going to play. He's going to play. He's not 100%. But this game is very winnable for the Commanders, 100%. Where last week I didn't think they could win, and they proved me wrong. They played Detroit so well. They took advantage of every turnover they had. Philly can turn the ball over a couple times. Hurts is prone to doing that.
He's been better this year. He's been like almost too conservative though. Like he's afraid of turning the ball over, and that's the problem. I think that's why you're not seeing the passing game work as well. Is that Jalen Hurts is afraid of turning the ball over and taking those shots?
Something's definitely up with his mindset. It's definitely he's not cool, calm, and collective in the pocket. He's definitely thinking about everything, like overthinking. For Jaden Daniels, it doesn't do that. Jaden Daniels doesn't make mistakes in the pocket often, very rarely. He's man.
Philadelphia needs to keep this game close. If this gets out of hand and has to become a shootout situation, Washington walks away with this because Jalen Hurts isn't hanging with Jaden Daniels in a shootout.
I keep hating like to bring up the last game because Kenny Pickett had to play literally 98% of the game. Hurts played one drive. But once Washington got ahead, the game was done. Philly couldn't catch up. They couldn't keep up. And if that happens again, if Washington gets out on like a 10-0 run, a field goal and a touchdown quick, this game's going to be completely different because you can't run the ball down their throats with Barkley. You can't clock management with Barkley. You can't hold them to only 2-3 drives in the second half because you're down. You need to keep getting the ball back, scoring, giving them the ball. And if Washington's playing from ahead, Washington can easily have this game in the bag. I don't think it's going to be that easily. I'm still leaning towards Philly getting the win here, but I think it's going to be a delightful game on Sunday.
So Saquon Barkley's rushing line is set at 127.5.
That's crazy.
If Washington holds him under 100 yards, is there any way Philadelphia wins this football game?
No. Barkley needs to have 100 yards. 100%.
Yeah.
But even holding him over 100 yards isn't going to stop him. When they played Washington last time with Kenny Pickett, Barkley had 150 and 2 touchdowns, and they still lost.
Yeah, the Eagles defense needs to keep this low scoring, and then it favors them. If this game's a 20-17 game, Philly wins.
100%. 100%.
You do got to worry about Washington. Their guard Sam Cosmi's out for the year. He tore his ACL against Detroit, so Washington will be going in with a backup guard, and Jalen Carter has been wrecking the middle of all offensive lines. So, but Jaden Daniels is equipped to evade pressure up the middle. He's an incredible athlete. So we'll see how Washington holds up against the Eagles' defensive front there. But Washington, Jaden Daniels, this feels like a team of destiny.
You brought up Will Anderson as a superstar. Jalen Carter is one of those guys that I would be confident is going to win a Defensive Player of the Year from the interior spot at some point in his career. He is a true game management guy. Like he game changes everything too. He runs that defense so smoothly. Yeah, he's a dog, dude. It is unbelievable. He fell to them at like 9 or 10 a couple years ago.
Well, he had off the field issues and
he did, and his off the field stuff really bothered me. It really bothered me. So I get it. It's just insane how he felt. But you love
Jermaine Burton.
His was on-field stuff. His was on-field
issues.
stuff.
On-field issues. Not any better, brother.
It was a little bit different, and now it's just real life problems with that guy. Ugh.
Yeah, so we'll see. I'm excited for this game.
So excited.
But Washington, it feels they're on something special here right now.
Mm-hmm.
Tough to pick against them, but also Philadelphia's chugging along. They're doing their thing, and
they're also doing everything almost right.
This is the type of game Philly usually wins, where like everybody's loving the flashy, fun team coming in. A few years ago was Minnesota with Case Keenum. They were on that tear. Everybody loved Minnesota. They had the Minneapolis Miracle with Steph Diggs against the Saints the week before, and the Vikings were the fun team led by super underdog quarterback Case Keenum, and Philadelphia mollywopped them in the NFC Championship game, and then went on to win the Super Bowl with Nick Foles. So I don't know. This one's tough. I mean, both games are tough to pick. I'm gonna pick the Eagles. I don't think they win by 6, though. I think this game's gonna be close. It's gonna be a gross game. I think. I think 20-17 is
like gross in
like scoring. Like I think they kind of contain Jaden Daniels. Yeah. If this is a high scoring game, Philadelphia's not winning.
I don't think it's gonna be low scoring per se, but I think both teams get close to 30 points.
If it goes over the 47.5, Washington wins the football game.
I think it'd be almost the same score as last week with the Rams and Eagles. It could be 27-25. That's not that high scoring.
That hits the over, which
I think they could hit the over, but 27-25, that's not that high scoring.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a lower scoring game, 2017, something like that. I think Philadelphia's gonna win. But man, I want Washington to win this game. I don't think Philly covers though. That's 6 point spread. That's some disrespect to Washington.
Yeah, I've been pulling for Philly pretty much all playoffs, but now that they've hit Washington, Washington's just that. I want Washington to win.
Washington is what Minnesota should have been. Washington's just playing with house money. They're playing loose football, and maybe that is to their advantage here. And because they have nothing to lose. They weren't supposed to be here, but I hope Washington might be like number one on my board of teams I want to win the Super Bowl. Like it's them or Buffalo, because like just a rookie to get to the championship, it's never happened. Rookies never made it to the Super Bowl. The rookies never won the Super Bowl, so that'd be really cool and kind of like solidifies this rookie class as like special, like all of them. Like, yeah, Jaden Daniels is the one, but Caleb Williams looked great at times this year. Drake May, all of them. Bo Nix, they've all looked great. Yeah, even Penix in the short span, and we'll see what the future holds for J.J. McCarthy. But maybe this was a historic quarterback class, and what better way to top that off with one of them winning the Super Bowl?
Yeah, we have a true possibility of having just a historic Super Bowl, regardless, being a rookie playing and then the three-peat from the Chiefs. Like a historic Super Bowl is a really good option to happen this year. So it's been a great season, and with ending it with a historic Super Bowl, it makes sense to me.
Yeah, but we're both picking Philadelphia.
Yeah, I'm picking Philly, but oh man, Jaden Daniels, come on, baby, let's get it done.
The Buffalo Bills, 6:30 p.m. on Sunday, travel to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs.
Prime time.
Yep. Yet again, Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes for the 9th time. The Chiefs are a 1.5 point home favorite over under of 48.5 points.
Now the Chiefs have 2 losses on the year, but the one was the last week of the year where they tanked versus Denver to get them into the playoffs to keep Cincinnati out. Buffalo is their only loss on the year. Buffalo is their only legitimate loss on the season.
Shoot. If I'm Kansas City, I would rather be playing Cincinnati than Buffalo. So
100%.
If Cincinnati would have got in, Cincinnati plays Buffalo round 1. If they upset them, the Chiefs then avoid Buffalo in the playoffs. So in theory, letting Denver in is kind of ho-hum, but that's my favorite thing is like that they were afraid of Cincinnati. I'll play that narrative up because I was all on the Bengals this year. But realistically, I think the Chiefs would much rather be playing Cincinnati than encountering Buffalo at all in the playoffs.
100%. But yeah. The
Josh
thought of
Allen and
playing
crew,
Buffalo is
they
the
haven't
only
got it
thing
done
keeping
yet
them.
in the playoffs against the Chiefs.
Yeah, 0-3.
Last year they missed the field goal, which cost them the game. There was the overtime game where Josh Allen didn't even get the ball.
That game
So
was unbelievable, dude.
yeah, which
The last
caused
the last 3 minutes of that game was just probably the best football I've ever watched in my life.
Yeah. So Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes hasn't thrown an interception since they played Buffalo, where he threw 2. He's got 0 since then. So neither of these teams are turning the ball over. And pretty much, I believe, every game this postseason, the team that turned the ball over the most has lost. So now it's a matter of how things shape up, because I can't see Buffalo turning the ball over a bunch, and I don't see Kansas City turning it over more than once. So Kansas City, better defense. Buffalo, more efficient offense, even though Kansas City's got more superstars. Travis Kelce, better than any option on Buffalo. Kansas City on paper, probably the more talented team, but I don't know. It's tough to pick against how Buffalo's playing right now, but Kansas City Chiefs went 15-2. How do you pick against them?
I'm not picking against the Chiefs. Just based off of past games, 0-3 versus Mahomes. And I'm not saying Allen can't get it done versus Mahomes. I think he will at some point. I don't think it's this year, dude. Just the way the Chiefs have been playing, and everyone's been like, oh, they're playing horrendous. They're not playing horrendous. They're playing the smartest football in the NFL. It doesn't matter how you win. It doesn't matter how much you win by. The Chiefs know at the end of the day, if they're down by a score or if they're up by a score with 5 minutes left in the game is theirs. It's over. The game is in their hands.
You could say Buffalo's playing that style of football right now too, though.
They are, but they're not playing it to the level of Kansas City's been doing this all season. This has just been the way they've played all year. They knew exactly what needed to be done to get into this predicament right now for us to still be talking about the Kansas City Chiefs 1 game away from the Super Bowl. They knew everything that needed to be done. They've played it tremendously throughout the whole year. From start to finish, the Chiefs have been playing flawless football. It might have been horrendous to watch. It might have been boring to watch. But you have to give credit where credit is due. And the Kansas City Chiefs are by far the best team in football. And I really do think they get to the Super Bowl. And honest to God, I think they're going to win it, dude. I just think the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl. How do you bet against Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes? Like, at the end of the day, you can't.
You could say the same thing about Tom Brady. How do you bet against Tom Brady? But there were years where it didn't come together, and I think beating Baltimore was sort of the thing to lift that monkey off Josh Allen's back. The Bills are playing really conservative football right now. It's not fun football. Tony Romo was begging for them to just let Josh Allen loose, put the ball in his hands, and let him take over. And I think the Bills have been saving that for this moment. I'm picking Buffalo. I do think the Bills get it done.
I think it's going to be really, really close. And like I said, they're the only team to beat the Chiefs. Legitimately beat the Chiefs this year.
The 1.5 line is perfect.
Yeah, I agree. I think this game is going to be close as hell. But in close games, I trust the Chiefs over anybody in football.
Yeah, that's
what it's come down to in my head.
Usually my mindset, if it's a toss-up, I go with the better coach, and in no world am I ever going to take Sean McDermott over Andy Reid.
It's not even close, dude.
But I think Josh Allen right now is the better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes, so I'm going to go with the better quarterback.
I think he's the more talented quarterback right now, but I would still take Mahomes if I had to take one quarterback.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I was picking whoever Buffalo, whoever won that game, I thought was going to the Super Bowl. It's going to be tough, and I am going to go with the Bills. I'm saying Philadelphia, Buffalo will be our Super Bowl.
Kansas City, Philadelphia, since the preseason.
That would be my
one game away.
I would power rank that 4th out of 4 options.
Hey, that's been my pick since the preseason, so I'm sticking with it, baby boy.
Would that be the Super Bowl you most want to see, though?
It's either one or two.
Wow. Okay.
But the other option would be Kansas City, Washington. Kansas City's in both of them, though.
Washington would take my top 2 spots. Washington, Buffalo, Washington, Kansas City. Josh Allen versus Jaden Daniels. Hell yeah. Jaden Daniels, the rookie, trying to stop the Chiefs from winning their 3rd Super Bowl in a row. Him versus Mahomes. Yeah, give me that. But then, Buffalo, Philly, Kansas City, Buffalo, or Kansas City, Philly. I just don't think they're the best matchups. I think they're more lended to a boring football game.
I'm more so looking at it from my perspective is that I've sat here for the last 8 months and backed the Philadelphia Eagles.
You have.
So in what world am I just backing them not to get to the Super Bowl? Because that's just a miserable 8 months for this guy. So I hope to God that me saying that they're good, at least prove me right. Give me some validation and sitting here telling people how good the Eagles are, because it kills me on the inside to tell people how good the Eagles are, how good the Commanders are, and the Giants are picking 3rd, and we're going to fuck it up.
I saw a tweet. Hey, at least you're not a circus like the Cowboys, brother.
And
you're close. Dude. You're close.
We are close, but I am so thankful that we are not to promote our offensive coordinator and a head coach after firing our head coach.
Yeah. Your owner's also a little less hands-on than Jerry Jones.
Dallas is the worst owner of football.
But no, I saw a tweet, and you're probably going to take offense to this. And it was all, if Washington wins the Super Bowl, you got the cool story. Jaden Daniels, rookie's never done it. If Kansas City wins the Super Bowl, 3-peat, no one's ever done it. If Buffalo does it, like Josh Allen finally solidifies himself as an elite quarterback, gets his Super Bowl, enters into he is Patrick Mahomes' rival. If Philadelphia wins the Super Bowl, it feels like a Super Bowl that we're just going to forget that they won. Oh, hey, the Eagles won that Super Bowl a couple of years ago. There's nothing special there.
Barkley.
Compared to the other 3 teams.
Barkley special.
Yeah, but I think you just remember Saquon Barkley's season regardless. Super Bowl or not, you'll remember that Barkley had the 2,000-yard season.
But it ended with a Super Bowl MVP for him. Because if they win, he's going to win Super Bowl MVP.
Oh, he's the only way. Yeah.
Exactly. There's no... If for me saying that Saquon Barkley deserves an MVP, and if the only way he gets an MVP is that it's the Super Bowl MVP, then God forbid he deserves an MVP.
Yeah.
This man a fucking MVP.
The Eagles to me are the least fun team of the 4.
I love Barkley, dude. Any way for me to get to watch Barkley, and if
they got talent, but it's I don't know. They don't play enjoyable football.
And when he left the Giants, the words out of my mouth were, if he wins a Super Bowl, I'm completely okay with him leaving. And I'm already okay with him leaving. I have no ill feelings towards Barkley. He's still one of my favorite players in the NFL, and he's still my favorite running back in football. But if him winning a Super Bowl his first year in Philly, dude, that's amazing, dude. I'm so glad that he left us and is becoming the true talent that he can become. Hats off to Philly for turning him into this guy. We could not.
Yeah. We'll see. I just don't think the Eagles.
That's been all season, though. You've been way lower on Philly than I have. Yeah. So I've just been linked with Philly for the last 9 months. It's been awful.
That's your own doing. You chose
but it's a vibe that I like. It's a vibe. Go Birds, dog.
Just that part. The team's not a vibe. It feels like
I disagree.
The team feels like they hate each other. There's nothing good that ever comes out of Philadelphia. Maybe it's because we're here. I don't know. But the AJ Brown reading the book on the sideline, the Nick Sirianni stuff, Big Dom.
But it's all Philly. That's what Philly is. The Eagles are literally the definition of Philly. It's just guys that don't care, and we're out here.
Vibes.
And that's what the city of Philadelphia is. Bad vibes. Shoot, I live near Philly. We are bad vibes.
Yeah, I don't know why you want to root for bad vibes.
Because it's fun.
I'd rather root for evil vibes in Kansas City.
Disagree. I like all the players on Philly too. Like I love Hurts, I love Barkley, I love Brown, I love Smith, I love every one on their
all
defense.
about vibes, but you're not about Buffalo, and they're literally throwing themselves through flaming tables because they're a bunch of freaking insane people up there.
Bunch of idiots. It's because they have nothing else to do in the city of Buffalo. There's no fun activities.
Yeah, they have Josh Allen. Josh Allen is the fun activity.
Give me Hurts.
All right, before we jump into our spot, Jalen Hurts is not a better quarterback than Josh Allen.
No, I agree. But I prefer Jalen Hurts.
Close. I don't think he's even close.
I prefer Jalen Hurts, though. I'd rather watch him.
Oh, that is a wild thing to say.
I would rather watch Philadelphia than Buffalo.
Buffalo pushes all the time now.
Yeah. I would. Buffalo would be my fourth-ranked team. I look at Buffalo the way you look at Philly.
It's Buffalo and Washington. Kansas City's kind of in the middle on their own, and then Philly's last. I just don't think the Eagles lend itself to a good football game.
I have both the NFC teams over the AFC teams. It's Philadelphia, Washington, Kansas City, Buffalo.
All right, before we jump into our Spotlight series, let's do a little coach roundup. We had some coaches get hired. Ben Johnson is leaving Detroit. Mm-hmm. He's jumping ship, and he's going to Chicago.
The bell of the ball.
He saw what Jaden Daniels did to him. He's like, you know what? I'm going to make Caleb Williams the better quarterback in this class. He's taking it personal. I'm disappointed because I wanted nothing more than to be right about Ben Johnson going to the Jaguars, and I'm still going to lay claim that is the job he wanted. And the Jaguars are just dumb.
I disagree.
He did. It like came out that like he wanted the job, but he didn't like the structure there. He didn't like Trent Baalke. And Shad Khan at the time wasn't willing to fire him.
GMs, but the Bears didn't fire their GM. He didn't get his GM in Chicago.
But Ryan Poles is a better GM than Trent Baalke.
I agree. Yeah, but at the end of the day, if it didn't come down to it came down to Caleb Williams. The way he talked about Caleb Williams, that's the reason he went to the Bears.
I think he would have been talking about Trevor Lawrence like that too. Because let's not forget the prospect of Trevor Lawrence coming out was on par with all this, and he would have raved about him with the talent and
of course, because
whatnot.
that's what a good coach does.
Yeah,
but he chose this job. He could have went to Jacksonville. Yeah. He easily could have went. He could have went to any job he wanted to. He chose the Bears.
He could have, but I wouldn't go to the job with Trent Baalke, and I liked the Jacksonville job, but he was keeping me away from that job. And it holds true because
I think he went to the better option.
They went, and then they wanted Liam Cohen, who then went back to Tampa for more money. He got a little raise there in Tampa. And then Shad Khan's was like, fuck, I can't get any coach. Like, they were like on the verge of like the only coach they were bringing in for a second interview was Patrick Graham, the Raiders defensive coordinator, and Robert Saleh.
Yeah.
So he went and fired Trent Baalke, and now it looks like the Jaguars are going to hire Liam Cohen, which it was a tough loss for Tampa. He's done great with Baker Mayfield. He's done great with just the Bucs offense, and he's been wonderful there. He's a McVay guy. Sean McVay loves this guy. Like Liam Cohen was the offensive coordinator for Will Levis in Kentucky, and he turned Will Levis into a draftable prospect. So we'll see what he does with Trevor Lawrence. I'm still excited about Liam Cohen going to the Jags. Would have much rather the Ben Johnson situation, just to rub it in that I was right. But the Jaguars fired Trent Baalke, and ultimately, that's all that matters. Like that guy.
Oh yeah,
is the worst.
Definitely. Yeah, he's a horrendous GM. He should have been fired years ago. All of his picks are super questionable at the end of the day.
He's never actually been hired to be a general manager, which is the crazy part.
No, he just gets promoted.
He just gets the job because people get fired.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't know. He's literally just the right place at the right time hire. That's all it is.
He's got one Pro Bowl draft pick, and it's Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, and I like Trevor Lawrence at the end of the day, but he is not developed into the prospect he was drafted to be. He is not this all amazing elite prospect when he was coming out of Clemson. He's had one really good year in the NFL, if that. So
he had a good. It was Doug Peterson's first year, but
he's had one really good year.
I think some of those flaws could also fall onto organizational coaching stuff.
100%.
I think Liam Cohen. We'll see. Liam Cohen, we saw what he did with Baker. He was huge in Baker's development.
I think Trevor Lawrence will be a fine quarterback. I just don't think he'll ever be a top 5 guy like he was drafted to be.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I think he could go the Baker route and be just like a guy who puts up numbers. Like
He's
I think
fine. Yeah.
a Baker season's in the realm, and Baker was incredible this year.
Yeah, I agree. And Baker's like the 13th best quarterback in football. I think that's definitely reasonable for Trevor Lawrence. He's just not going to be the guy that he was drafted to be, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
It's just that's the realm. That's the realm that we're in now with Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah. And then hopefully they continue to bring him in weapons as well, not just be like, oh, we got Brian Thomas Jr. We don't need anybody else.
That's the one thing Jacksonville's pretty decent at. Jacksonville's really good at getting.
They will spend the money.
Weapons. They'll either spend the money or they'll draft. Like Travis Etienne's really good.
Yeah.
Brian Thomas, amazing. They draft pretty well offensively. So
yeah,
obviously a new GM is going to be new drafting, but I like Jacksonville going forward.
They promoted someone from within for interim GM, so I assume he's the GM this year. I don't think they're going to do a full GM shirts. We'll see though. It's not Trent Baalke.
I don't like that.
Dallas, you brought up earlier. It looks like their offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer is the favorite to be their head coach. Like Jerry Jones probably saw the name Schottenheimer and was just like, the 90s. Marty was great. Marty Schottenheimer, he was so good. So Brian's got to be great, and we'll be great again, like we were in the 90s. I don't know what's going through that guy's mind. No disrespect to Brian Schottenheimer. I'm sorry you're catching strays, but like they're the reason he got 0 head coaching interviews.
Exactly. That's like what it comes down to. They were a 7-9 team. They were a losing record. They fired their head coach, and now they're bringing in a guy who
was up.
They let him go. They could have brought him back.
So Mike McCarthy wanted to come back. I was talking to Bobby, who's a friend of mine, a Cowboys fan, and he said like that McCarthy wanted to go back, but like he wanted change in structure or something in Dallas, and Jerry Jones wasn't budging, and Mike McCarthy just didn't want to deal with it anymore.
Yeah, reasonable.
Smart man.
No
Get
one
out
wants
of
to
there.
deal with Jerry Jones. Mike McCarthy would be smart to take the year off, come back, coach somebody else.
I think he gets a job. I think he's going to New Orleans. I think that's good for the Saints. Bringing an established head coach.
I think he takes a year off.
I don't think that hurts him either. But he took a year off after Green Bay because I know the Saints. He's on their list, and it also wouldn't surprise me if maybe Vegas brings him in. I think Vegas brings in an established guy as well. But I
would assume that's going to be Pete Carroll.
Yeah, I agree. But like an established guy like that, who's not like a hard ass like Dennis Allen, who he's an established coach, but he's a terrible coach.
Robert Salas. Robert Salas should be New Orleans head coach.
Yeah, so we'll see. I do think the Saints go with McCarthy. I wouldn't be surprised if Saleh ends up in Detroit and takes the defensive coordinator job there.
Oh, I hope not. I don't know. Detroit just rubs me the wrong way. I don't know if everyone loves them. I just kind of want Detroit to implode, dude.
Sounded like me.
I don't. There's not many teams that I don't want to secede, and right now Detroit's one of them.
Wow.
I just want Detroit to fit. I think it's kind of Dan Campbell. I do not like Dan Campbell at the end of the day.
Okay.
Like he's a fine coach, but his coaching staff helped him so much, dude.
And that's why I think he'll bring in names like that. And I think Robert Saleh is a perfect fit for him.
And I don't want that. I want Dan Campbell to go out there and prove that you're a good coach, dude. No, prove to me that you're a good coach.
Is he your Dion?
He's 100% my Dion.
These are the same things you say about Deion Sanders. The Jets, they took the other coordinator from the Lions, Aaron Glenn, going to the Jets. Good luck there, buddy.
Great hire.
I love Aaron Glenn. I saw people on Twitter bitching about it, that like, oh, he's just Robert Saleh. He's not completely Sure, they both coach defense. That's it. That's the only similarity they have.
And I'm sorry, if he is Robert Saleh at the end of the day, great. He's a great head coach because you guys were dumb as shit and you let a great head coach leave. You fired him because of Rodgers. Yeah. So now you got another great head coach. Don't fuck it up.
I think Aaron Glenn's a little bit more different. He's more I think he's more player oriented, former player.
He is,
and he's also like more motivator type. Whereas like Bob Saleh is just kind of like he feels like a lower end Mike Tomlin, where he's just like real stern guy, kind of there like, hey, like get in line, like this is how we doing things. I think Aaron Glenn's more open to things, and Aaron Glenn's been around. He played for a while. He was a great corner. He played under Bill Parcells. He's been under Belichick, Pete Carroll, Sean Payton's where he started coaching under. Like he's been under all these guys, and then the philosophies in Detroit. So he's bringing a lot of culture stuff there. I think the Jets are a terrible job, but I think Aaron Glenn is a great coach, and I think he's got a ton of upside as a head coach. So I think it's a good hire for them.
Yeah, I'm not looking at it from the organization standpoint. Like the Jets went out and got them someone that can do the job. And at the end of the day, that's what you need. You can be a horrible organization, but if you have a great coach that is this good, he can still turn some things around.
Dan Quinn did in Washington. The franchise was in shambles, new ownership.
Exactly, yeah.
Dan Quinn comes in. They're one game away from the Super Bowl. I hope Aaron Glenn meets the owner's kid. I don't know his fucking name. I think it's like Brick. And Brick's just like,
he's dumb as a bag of bricks, dude. That's fucking why. Jesus
I hope he's just
Christ.
like, hey, what was your highest Madden rating? Like,
absolutely disgusting.
How good were you in Madden, brother? What coaches are available? That guy had a high Madden rating. Let's bring him in to be our offensive coordinator. I do hope Robert Saleh gets a job though, whether it be Vegas or New Orleans.
He's getting a job.
or even Dallas. But I think Vegas is going to go with Pete Carroll or someone established, which Bob Saleh would be an established name. Mike McCarthy, Brian Flores. I also wouldn't rule him out for Vegas. Either connection with Tom Brady.
Yeah, I know Ben Johnson really loved the Vegas job. He was really interested with Tom Brady, but dude, I'm so happy he went to Chicago. But yeah, Vegas, I think Salas is going to go New Orleans, Pete Carroll to Vegas, and then that leaves us nobody, right? Dallas.
Schottenheimer.
Yeah.
Apparently, though, Dallas, Jerry Jones is fine waiting out the coaching period because he thinks the Cowboys job is a lucrative job and people are going to want to go there. And apparently, like, Cliff Kingsbury's a guy he wants. And he's fine waiting out for them potentially to win the Super Bowl and try to get him to come in.
I seen an interview with Cliff. He did bring up that he would be interested in being a head coach again soon, but he's not really right now. So I think he's with Washington the next couple of years.
Yeah. There was something I was going to say. Nope. It's gone. Oh, as a Vikings fan, I'm actually more happy Aaron Glenn is out of Detroit than I am Ben Johnson.
Hot take.
Look what Aaron Glenn's defense did to our offense.
Yeah, I get that.
We could hang with the Detroit defense or Detroit offense. Our defense hung with their offense. Our offense couldn't hang with their defense. Aaron Glenn figured that out.
Yeah.
I think Ben Johnson's going to do great for Caleb Williams. I think Ben Johnson's going to be a good head coach, but I'm more happy to see Aaron Glenn out of there. They also lost their defensive line coach. He went to New England to be the DC there. So the Detroit coaching staff is coming down. I also heard their offensive line coach, former Eagle Hank Fraley's like, he might be going to Detroit or going to Chicago with Ben Johnson, but he's also like being interviewed in Seattle for the offense coordinator job as well. So
yeah, they're being straight up ripped apart for their coaches.
Pillaged, yeah. And that's what happens when you're a good football team. All right.
Exactly, yeah. And this is where good coaches are able to rebound from this. So if Dan Campbell is as good as everyone says he is, I hope he is. The NFL is better with better coaches and better players.
Yeah.
I hope to God he's able to bounce back from this. But it's going to be a rough offseason for Detroit, dude.
He's a leader of men, though. A good leader. So
for sure.
If anything, he'll have that team riled up. And now, hey, maybe Detroit can go back to that narrative they love where it's them against the world. Everybody's counting them out. They lost all their coaches. So maybe this is ultimately better for them. We'll see. All right, we got 2 prospects for you guys today for our Prospect Spotlight series as we inch ever so close to the NFL draft. Tomorrow, being Friday, is the last day for the championship teams to declare their players for the draft. So they're just got to enter. So we'll pretty much have the full draft class this weekend. We'll know who's in, who's out. Senior Bowl's coming up. Shrine Bowl's coming up. Combine in February. So good stuff there. But before we jump into that, let's give a shout out to our friends over at W. W Energy. They pride themselves on full disclosure, full transparency in their ingredients. No sugars, no calories, no artificial dyes, no fillers. They got a mobile app. Just search W on your app store, whether it be Apple or the Google Play Store. That's W, D-U-B-B-Y. Or you can go to their website, www.w.gg, and order some tubs. I'm currently here about halfway through this Granny Smith apple secret sauce called the Dub Sludge. Great name. Drink it here every now and then. It's usually my afternoon pickup. And of course, use the code DRAFTEDUP at checkout for a nice 10% discount on your order. Support our friends over at Dubby, support the podcast. And if you're not a caffeine guy, they have non-caffeinated stuff. They got hydration, flavors. They have shaker bottles. They got merch, all that good stuff. It's not just energy stuff. They got other stuff. But be better with Dubby Energy. Get that dub. That's Dubby Energy, DUBBY. Use the code DRAFTEDUP for a 10% discount at checkout.
Yeah, eat that dub. Dub energy.
Got to get Jameis Winston on the
Gotta
dub
get
train.
him.
All right.
He'd do it.
Yeah. So,
Let's get these prospects.
Yeah, so next week we'll preview the Super Bowl. We'll have prospects for you again. And then after the Super Bowl, that episode, we'll do our first mock draft. We'll have the full draft order in lock. We'll do that. And then we're going to take a nice 2-week break, rejuvenate, and we'll be back with our first early-ish ranking episode. Probably be quarterbacks.
Probably quarterbacks.
For you guys. So, do you want to start or do you want me to start?
I'll
go
run
back
it
and
first.
forth, I assume.
Yeah,
All right.
I'll run it. And you go. I'll start with Luther Burton, the third wide receiver from Missouri, 5'11", 208, junior. He's a consensus 5-star recruit coming out of high school. Amazing high school career. Look into it if you want to look at his stats. He was the ranked number 1 receiver in his recruiting class by ESPN, Rivals, and 24/7 Sports. All 3 very high recruiting websites. His freshman year he was a little quiet. He had 45 catches, 375, and 8 total touchdowns. But he was the first player since 2008 to have 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 receiving touchdowns, and 2 punt touchdowns in the same season. So he's a super dynamic player. He can be used all over the field. And in his sophomore season is the year to look at. 86 catches, 1,212 yards, 9 total touchdowns. Absolute dog. All SEC first team, second team All-American. He was phenomenal his sophomore year. You've seen everything click. He ran all of his routes flawlessly. He was so crisp, so clean, great hands. And then his junior year this year, he took a little bit of a step back. 61 catches, 676, 8 total touchdowns again. But he played hurt all season, and he played sick. He was sick for most of the season. He came out and said he was ill. He wasn't 100%, but he still played like a dog. And that's what you see, like his dog mentality. It's Terry McLaurin levels. He'll block for his running backs. He's a great lead blocker. Once he gets hands on you too, like he's a really good run blocking receiver for only being 5'11", 208. So he has that like mentality that he's the next guy up, and whatever opportunity you give him, he's going to blow you out of the water with it. Instant separation with his first step right off the line. He's gone, dude. He's quick, but he's not like blow the top of your defense speed off quick. But his separation is just elite, and he knows how to like move around on the football field. He's very Tank Dell-like with the separation. He's natural hands. He had an 85.9 catch rate, which is elite level. Elite yak ability. I love his after the catch ability.
He's really good after the catch.
Once the ball is in this guy's hands, dude, you don't know where he's going to go. And you've seen that with the punt return ability. Like him in open fields, he's going to make the first guy miss and probably even the second guy. He's quick, he's shifty, he's twitchy, he's everything you want out of like a really quick wide receiver. Luther Burton, though, he's my 3rd ranked receiver in the class right now behind Hunter and Tedrow McMillan. But I think he's right there with Travis Hunter on pure wide receiver ability. I think he's right there with the top guys in the class. The ability he brings to the punt return, I think he's perfect for any scheme. It doesn't matter what kind of scheme you put him in. He's going to succeed. I think he's going to be a really good pro. He's going to be a round 1 guy. So Luther Burton's a guy that you definitely should know come draft season.
Yeah, his name's been bounced around. I've seen people, that aren't high on him, and they have like 2nd round grades for him. I've seen people that he's like outside their top 5 wide receivers. I don't see it. I'm buying more into that junior tape than I am his senior tape. I mean, you're
100%.
definitely concerned. Like it is a worrisome thing that his production went down. But Brady Cook, he's just a low end, like maybe a round 7 prospect at quarterback. Like he's ho hum. He's been banged up all year. Missouri as a whole had a bad year.
They had over 1,100 passing yards compared to last season. So like the passing numbers just drastically decreased for Brady Cook there from Mizzou. And that's not all on Luther Burton.
Yeah.
Luther Burton still averaged 10 a catch. He had 8 total touchdowns. It's not him, but his second year tape it's flawless, dude. His 1,200 yards, 9 touchdowns, 80 some catches, all first SEC team, second All-American. You just see, and he's like, he did it in high school too. Like guys that do it in high school, they do it in college. He only did it 1 year, but it doesn't matter. He did it. And then he's going to come to the pros, and he's going to be a really good pro. He just knows how to play football at the end of the day, and that's what you want out of guys.
If you even look at his analytic grades over on like PFF for this year, they're still good. He had 80.2 receiving grade.
Yeah.
He had a 55% contested catch rate. And he's not the biggest dude. Like I said, he's 5'11", 208. He doesn't have a drop issue, but
unbelievable, dude.
That's not always a sticky thing. He's really great against man coverage. To me, like he forces tackles. He missed tackles. Like he led the nation in missed tackles this year. At 30.
He's like, super twitchy, dude.
He's so dynamic with the ball in his hands. And it figures you kind of like him because he's got a little Malachi Corley in his game, but he's a way better prospect. Like he's an elite version of Malachi Corley.
Yes, he is an elite version of Malachi Corley, and with the ball in his hands, he's so deadly, dude. And that's just like the Malachi Corley thing is like the yards after the catch ability it's endless with these guys.
Yeah.
Like screen it to him, and they're going to take it to the house for 80 yards.
Yeah, people want to throw out the Deebo Samuel comp, but like Deebo's a way bigger body than this dude. I don't see that. I see more like, and this is a big one coming from me. Like he gives me Percy Harvin vibes, like a more polished Percy Harvin at the wide receiver position. Percy Harvin was really raw coming out. Like
I think he's more rounded.
Like a rounded Percy Harvin, and that's and Percy Harvin was so dynamic in the NFL. He was absolutely a game changer for Minnesota.
Even at Florida, he was unbelievable.
Yeah, I think at worst you're looking at like a Curtis Samuel level player, and Curtis Samuel had a bunch of good years in the league. Like I think that's his floor.
Yeah, I think his floor is like Curtis Samuel's best seasons every year. Or I think that's his floor. I'm looking at
Curtis Samuel had that outlier season where he had like 1,000 yards, but like,
I get that. But
like,
I'm saying like 800,
700, 800
yards. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
and that's his floor. I think he could be
good floor.
100%. But I think he could really have boom seasons where he's 1,200 yards.
Yeah,
close to double-digit touchdowns. Given the right system with a great quarterback, he could be a top 10 receiver. He could be a superstar.
Yeah, I think he should be a top 15 pick.
I agree.
I tend to like, if I'm ever like doing mock experiments, I always ended up having him in Dallas, which
him and CD would be great.
Yeah,
that'd be phenomenal.
They're a little similar at times, though. I would much rather him go to like Atlanta. I know Atlanta. If Atlanta drafts another offensive player, the world might implode. But he's a perfect match to Drake London.
See, he is very similar kind of to like CD where they move him around a lot. But I think CD's so versatile where he could be any receiver that you need him to be. CD's a top 3 receiver in the NFL. So I don't think it would be a huge deal. And you would be able to scheme them in there. Like that's what a good coach does. So if Schottenheimer's getting a head coaching job, prove to us that you're a good coach, dude. And
we'll
get
see.
Burton, get CD the ball. Yeah. But I think Burton at the end of the day is going to be a top 20 pick. And I hope he's going to make any offense instantly better. And special teams, dude. Like, what he brings to special teams is already a huge bonus, dude. Like, he's an elite punt returner already day one in the NFL. So
I have a first round grade
to be,
on him. I think he's really good.
Yeah, for sure. I have a first round grade easily on him. I'm so excited to see where he gets drafted. Yeah. He's one of those guys I'm really liking this year.
Him, Tet, and Hunter are a great 1, 2, 3. After that, it's wide open. It could be anybody.
And I love that. I love that.
Now, like I mean, those 3 obviously aren't to me on the same level as Marv, Rome, BTJ, Malik Neighbors last year, but I would take those guys over like Keon Coleman, Xavier Worthy.
I think Tetro is on the level of Marv and
I'm
Malik
not. I'm not quite there with Tetaroa. I think he's great.
I am.
I thought those guys were generational guys. I don't see Tet there.
I do.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I think he's a high end number 2. Like I like T Higgins is his like ceiling, which is a great ceiling to have. That's not a knock on him, But
No, it's not.
T Higgins isn't a generational scene talent.
I think his ceiling could be very Devontae Adams to be arguably the best receiver in football.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to go defense. We've yet to touch base on a safety here on the Spotlight Series. So I'm going to hit you with one, and it's not going to be the consensus safety one. And I'm going with national championship runner-up. You've done a couple of Ohio State guys, so I figured it was time we give a little shout-out to Notre Dame. They made the national championship, came up short. I'm going with Xavier Watts, their safety. 6 foot, 203. This dude's explosive, high motor. He's really experienced, ton of snap count, ton of plays under his belt. Elite ball skills. You're not going to find a better ball tracker in this draft than Xavier Watts. 7 interceptions in 2023, won the Nagurski Award, 6 interceptions this year. So 13 interceptions in the last 2 seasons. Interception's not really a sticky stat, but you're doing it back-to-back years. You got an eye for the ball, but he's not just a ball hawk guy. Like, he's a sure tackler. He's a playmaker. He's really instinctive. He's got good speed to him, and it kind of affects him. He gets a little wild in run support. His speed kind of gets the better of him. Comes in hot sometimes. Gets bad angles. Kind of wild with his hands at times as well. When he has to cover man-to-man, he's much better zone player, which makes sense because he's a ball hawk guy. But, like, I don't know if you've seen a lot of him, but he kind of reminds me, like, if you gave Landon Collins ball skills, you got Xavier Watts.
Shut your mouth.
Okay, but people see Landon Collins as an in-the-box safety coming at you, run support. But, like, Xavier Watts is that plus a ball hawk. Like, he was.
Landon Collins was so downhill, dude. I'll talk Landon Collins all day. He's one of my favorite Giants of all time. But yeah, he plays the ball way better than Landon Collins, but he does play like him a lot downhill, but he also does back out. I like him a lot. And then you brought up him like shooting the gap too early and missing tackles. I'm cool with that in college. Like I see that a lot in players because that's a coaching thing. A good coach is going to coach that out of you.
Yep.
But for you to have the ability to get to that spot, that's the spot you need to be in regardless. You're just there too quick.
Yeah.
Just back it up a little bit and then bring that momentum into the hit. And you're going to be knocking out the ball, dude. Like, that's what a good safety does. Forces hit off turnovers. I think he's got a super bright future, especially with the right coaching staff.
But, short tackler. Like, I love his game. Like, I have him on par with Malachi Starks, who is the consensus safety one. I think they're way closer than, like, media has that out right now.
I think they're close-ish. I do have Starks as like a for sure top 20 guy. I do have him at like the back end of the first, but I have him close, yes. Early second.
Yeah, I think he's a fun player, and that it also his play style. It does kind of just fit like Notre Dame in general. Like if you look at their big name safeties that came out, Harrison Smith plays 100%, like this.
100%. Yeah.
Kyle Hamilton plays like this, and pedigree's there. Xavier Watts, you know, I think he's gonna be a really good football player. I think ultimately ends up in the second round just because safety's not a high value position, so you don't see a lot of guys going early on.
It's very rare to see two safeties go in the first round.
Look for him at the top of round 2, though. His ball skills are incredible. Pause.
The first like 5 picks of the second round, you can almost guarantee a safety's going to be really close to one of those picks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like Deion Branch fell out of the first. Landon Collins, I'm pretty sure, was the first pick of the second round.
Brian Branch. Deion Branch is a wide receiver.
Hey, I love Deion Branch. But Brian Branch, like he was a first round guy. He fell out of the first because of safety. And now look at him at Detroit. He made the Pro Bowl. He's a dog. He's
Kyle Hamilton went at the end of the first. Like
exactly.
Mid to late first. I don't remember the exact pick, but I think it was in the 20s.
Yeah, he fell a little bit. Wow, Coop DeJean. People thought he was a safety. No. Wrong. Idiots. Dumb. Oh, Coop's so good. He should have went top 10. I'll stand by that to the day I die.
Yeah.
I know how I scouted that guy right. He is a phenomenal NFL player.
Kyle Hamilton was 14.
Okay, I thought he went a little bit earlier. I thought he was like 16 to 18-ish. But yeah, I think he's got a bright future. Notre Dame knows how to produce safeties, and when they produce elite safeties, they become elite safeties.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what Notre Dame does. They're really good at producing elite, high-level safeties. So I will continue this here with not a runner-up in the national championship, but the national championship Ohio State Buckeyes running back Quinshon Judkins, 6', 219, Ohio State junior. He's a 3-star recruit coming out of high school, went to Ole Miss his first 2 seasons. First season at Ole Miss, true freshman, 274 carries, 1,567 yards, 16 touchdowns, 5.7 a carry. True freshman, all team, true freshman, all SEC team, first team, all SEC, freshman year and sophomore year at Ole Miss. Absolute dog. He knows how to run the ball. He's so patient, so clean with the ball, hits the break at elite speeds. He's so good, dude. His sophomore year at Ole Miss, 271 attempts, 1158, 15 touchdowns again, dude. Transferred to Ohio State. Split time. They had 2 elite running backs, and you're going to hear about both of them in the draft process. This year for Ohio State. Oh, he's not coming out?
Oh, never mind. This is an article from last year. I was checking on both of them to see if they came
They're
out.
coming out.
Okay. They haven't declared yet. They have till tomorrow, so
They're coming out.
The article I read for Henderson is last year.
Okay.
I'm still in 2024.
Okay. Judkins this year for Ohio State. No, you're good, dog. 174 attempts, 924. So he didn't break 1,000 yards, but he had 5.3 a carry, which is better than his second year at Ole Miss. And again, 10 touchdowns. Double-digit touchdowns every single year in college. He's a touchdown-finding machine.
He was also in a committee, which is why you'll see the yard production down. Travion Henderson is no slouch.
Yeah, they had 2 elite running backs at Ohio State, so he wasn't just the main workhorse back like he was at Ole Miss, but he has the ability to be that guy in the NFL. He's good size, 6', 219, so he's got the size to be a true workhorse NFL back. He's got decent hands too. Like, he can catch a ball. He can definitely improve tremendously, but that's all NFL stuff. He has decent hands right now, and you could be taught better route, better clean, better how to play out of the backfield. It's fine. I'm not worried about that. His balance after contact, dude, he's like a little bowling ball out there, dude. He gets hit once, he gets hit twice, he gets hit 3 times, and he's still juking and jiving and weaving. I love Judkins, dude. Like, he's probably going to be in my top 5 backs, and that's saying a lot because this draft class is stacked with backs, but I'm pretty confident to say he's going to be in my top 5. He just shows up in big games, big moments. He's been in so many bowl games. He's played in the Peach Bowl, the Rose Bowl, the Cotton Bowl, all of this year. Last year, he played in the college first round. 2023, he played in the Peach Bowl. So, like, he played in these big games, dude. Like, he just shows up when he needs to. I think he's going to be a great pro. I don't know how you feel about Judkins. We really haven't even talked about him that much because there's just so many backs in the NFL draft this year. But he's one of my favorite guys, dude. He's got that dog mentality where he's going to fight for the extra yards, too. So everything I want out of a running back, he's got it.
Based off live stuff that I've watched from Ohio State, because I haven't dove too much into my running back stuff because I'm finishing on my quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I like Henderson way more than I do Judkins. And
that's tough. I like Henderson
a lot. I just feel like when I've seen Judkins this year, he's not the same player that he was at Ole Miss. If I can get Ole Miss Judkins, top 3 back in the draft. Ohio State Judkins feels to me more of a committee back, and like he'd be outside my top 5, closer to 10. Like I feel like the tape. And that was just live. I got to see the all 22. Like, that's just broadcast tape. Mm-hmm. I just wasn't as impressed as I was when he played at Ole Miss. So we might see him a little different. So I still think, I worry about his long speed's not great, and I just worry that like he's not the same player he was at Ole Miss. But if he converts back to the Ole Miss, and maybe it is just a thing where he's splitting time with Travion Henderson, so you're not seeing, like, he's just not getting that flow. Like, running backs get better with more and more touches a lot of times. So, like, maybe
he
that's
gets
the
better
problem.
later in games. He for sure does. It's the Derrick Henry thing.
The Ole Miss tape's incredible. I would probably first round grade him out just off his 2 years at Ole Miss. But this year at Ohio State, I wasn't as impressed as much through broadcast stuff. But once I dive into the all-22 stuff for Ohio State, I'll have a better idea how I am. But right now, I'm not as high as you are. I much prefer Travion Henderson.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how you do feel after the all-22. Because, like, he averaged more yards a carry this year than his second year at Ole Miss. And he had 10 touchdowns on 100 less attempts. And he only had 15 the year before on 100 more attempts. So I think if you would give him the workload like he got at Ole Miss at Ohio State, I think his production would have been just as good as Ole Miss. And that's coming from like an Ohio State running back. I think he's a first round talent guy. I think he's not going to go in the first. But I think he's talent wise, he's a first round guy. He's really talented.
Okay. Yeah, well, we'll see once I dive into him a little more. But I have a feeling we might end up being a little different on him. And then I also think you like the UNC running back, Omarion Hampton.
I do like him a lot too.
Spoiler alert. Not my cup of tea right now.
He's good, dog.
Not my cup of tea. I'm a little worried about him. I'm more worried about him than I am Quinshon Judkins.
There are not many running backs in this class I don't really like. The kid from Tennessee is one of them. No, the kid from Texas. Kid from Texas is one of them.
No, Tennessee. You were right.
Tennessee, it's wherever
Dylan
he's
Sampson.
from. Yeah, I don't like him.
You know I love that guy. I love my Tennessee running backs.
Yeah, I do. He's one of the guys that
I need to dive. I've watched one all-22 game for Dylan Sampson, so I don't have a full picture of him. But yeah, I'm not bringing another running back to the table here. I'm staying in the secondary, and I'm going chalk here. We're doing this guy a disservice by not bringing him up. So that's Will Johnson, the corner from Michigan. 6'2", 202.
Dog.
If Travis Hunter wasn't in this draft, and this is no disrespect to Travis Hunter, he's an incredible prospect because, two-way player, all that stuff. Will Johnson's probably a better corner than Travis Hunter. Will Johnson, he's a top 5 guy in the class for me right now. He's an incredible prospect, elite prospect. He's really instinctive in coverage. He's really good at route recognition. You saw his size, 6'2", 202, prototypical stature, physical at the point of attack. Like, he's not afraid to fucking throw hands with you at the line of scrimmage. And that is a flaw. He can be a little too aggressive with those hands at times. And, his size lends him to be a little stiff in the hips. 6'2" guys aren't going to, have great lateral movement. So that's a problem. And he did see an increase in missed tackles this season. But this season he was banged up, but he's still, his junior year, he was so good. Like, for sure, like, corner tape is tough to judge, but he's consistently putting out good tape.
Like, if you look at his junior tape, and his senior tape is still really, really good. It's just not as good, but his junior tape is like elite of the elite for college kids. So I get his senior year's a quote for quote step back, but at the end of the day, dude, he's still a top 5 guy in this draft class. He's so talented.
Yeah, he's a ton of experience as well. 3-year starter at Michigan. Like this year, he only played 280 snaps. The years before, 550, 488. So a ton of coverage snaps.
That's also really hard to do at a big school.
Yeah.
A 3-year starter, that's hard to do.
Yep. So
it's impressive.
Year 1, 28 catches he gave up on 50 targets, 2 touchdowns. Never allowed another touchdown the rest of his career. 2023, he gave up 17 catches on 37 targets. This year, 16 catches on 26 targets, less games. 2 interceptions this year, 4 the year before that, 3 the year before that. He's got some ball hawking skills. His junior year, the quarterback rating against him, 30.9. Like, you can't throw on this dude. He's incredibly talented, and he's an island corner. Like, you don't find that a lot where you just get a guy, put him by himself, and let him do his job. Like, he doesn't need help. Doesn't play a lot in the slot. Don't need to. You put him on the boundary against your wide receiver 1. Build wise, he's similar to Patrick Surtain. Not a comp. not a comp because you can't comp
No.
anyone to Patrick Surtain, who's the best corner in football. But
Yeah.
I think that's the level of talent he possesses, though, that he could be one of the 5 best corners in football any given year. Like, he's that good, and he's kind of been overshadowed by, you know, Travis Hunter being in this class, and you know, the debacle of the quarterbacks like Cam Ward, Shador Sanders, like they kind of overtaken that route, like that Will Johnson is kind of forgotten about. And I think, you know, the injury could see a little slide, but I don't think he falls outside the top 10. I'm going to have him in my top 5 once we finalize our big boards. I can't see him being outside my top 5. I think he's just that good of a prospect. And, you know, even with the injury this year, 52.6 passer rating against him, he was still putting up good numbers in those stats, only played 6 games. But ton of experience over the year. Like I said, 3-year starter at Michigan. You know, he's good in zone, not as great in man this past year, but he also, you know, he stops the run. You know, he's a do-it-all corner, top corner in this draft for me, bar none. And I think Travis Hunter's a better corner than receiver, and that's just how high I think of Will Johnson.
Yeah, I would definitely take him as like a pure corner over Travis Hunter if Hunter just played one position.
Mm-hmm.
And it's no knock on Hunter, but yeah, he's just everything you want out of a corner, he possesses. He plays the run, he plays the zone, he plays press. He can kick inside, outside. He doesn't need to kick inside at all because, like you said, he's an island corner. He's a lot like fucking Quinyon Mitchell, not playing wise, but like, you can stick him on the outside, and it doesn't matter who he is covering. That guy is going to be pretty much useless for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
And that's a rare thing in the NFL, and you're going to have up and down seasons like Sauce, like Surtain. Like, these guys aren't elite every year, but they're damn good every single year. And they're going to have highs, they're going to have lows, but at the end of the day, they're super solid. They're super ready to go any given day. He's going to improve any defense drastically right off the bat in preseason. But yeah, I could see a world where he falls out of the top 10 based off the injury, but he's not falling far out of that, dude. Like 12, 13 is his floor.
Yeah. If he falls, someone's got to be moving up. Like,
He's going to go.
Yeah, get this dude. I was hoping I could find easily accessible, but I couldn't. His numbers versus like the Ohio State receivers, like see what he did against Marv, you know, Emeka Ibuka, those guys, because they're just constantly putting out talent in Ohio State. But hey, I would assume they're decent considering Ohio State hasn't beat Michigan in like 4 years.
Hey, but they won the Natty, so
they did.
Does it really matter?
Yeah. No. Michigan won last year, though, so
they did.
Kudos to Ohio State. I can't wait to dive into their quarterback.
He's quite the conversation.
Yeah. Not looking forward to Notre Dame's quarterback, Riley Leonard.
Oh,
kind of
good
butts.
God, no. We could honestly just skip that guy.
Yep. All right. We'll be back next week. Super Bowl preview. We'll have some prospects for you again. And then we'll put an episode out after the Super Bowl. We'll briefly touch on the Super Bowl. It'll be our first mock draft, though. Full draft order, locked in. And then we're going to take a nice little break. But you can catch us here next week. We'll be back still on our weekly schedule, and then we'll ease back into 1 or 2 times a week, depending on schedule. That's the Drafted Up Podcast. That's Nick. I'm Theo. You know where to find us over on Twitter at DraftedUp_pod. More importantly, you can watch the show Apple, YouTube, Spotify. Search Drafted Up Podcast. Like, rate, subscribe, review, share, tell a friend. We appreciate all you guys' hard work. Support our friends over at WN Cafe Colazo. We'll see you guys next week for the Super Bowl.
Hell yeah.
Adios.
Super Bowl preview. Bye-bye.